The Minnesota Vikings originally had the 12th overall pick. They trade all the way back and swap with the Detroit Lions, end up selecting 32 overall, one of the many crazy moves that happened during this NFL draft. They end up selecting Lewis Cine, safety out of Georgia, friend of the NFL Prospects podcast. Here to talk about the pick, Dustin Baker, host of Believe in Vikings with Brian McKinney. Dustin, how are we feeling after that? Well, first of all, how are we feeling about the trade and then getting Lewis Cine as a result of it?
Well, the trade was a source of mutiny among fans because it's not that in the grand scheme of thing, the trade was silly. It's that you had the opportunity to be abusive to a team that wanted to go up that high. So depending on the trade calculator, if you look at the Rich Hill, it wasn't great. But if you look at the PFF stuff, the Vikings won. So that'll be hashed out in years to come. However, if the grand master plan was to get a safety, you could have had Kyle Hamilton at 12 and bada bing, you're fine. Conversely, they wanted to stockpile draft picks to get deeper, and then they get a Harrison Smith-like player who's violent and who's a national champion in Cine. So I am okay with the pick because I can look at the long picture, but I can tell you certifiably that fans are upset because it's a division rival in the Lions. They don't threaten us very much, but you really did have the opportunity to dictate and say, we're going to take a first next year, homie. Instead, it was just kind of a run-of-the-mill trade that, it was both teams did fine. There was some fascination that the Vikings might get Malik Willis because he just fell out of the first round altogether. And if they wanted to hedge the Kirk Cousins experience, that was all the craze for the past half hour. It could still be the craze because they have the second pick tomorrow night. But yeah, ultimately, I'm probably filibustering. They got a very good football player in the arguably safety is a need. They have a second-year dude named Cameron Bynum, who we thought was going to start, but they'll have to rethink that. So they get better on defense. It's just the way that they got there put fans in a tizzy.
Yeah, I mean, well, luckily you get a really talented player in Lewis Cine who, I was actually surprised. I thought he would go a little bit earlier after the combine performance he had running into the 4.3s. He's a really explosive football player. Like you said, kind of some shades to a Harrison Smith, maybe a little more of an athletic Harrison Smith. But 2020, you're seeing a guy that's incredibly physical, a guy that is not afraid to put some guys in hospital chairs coming out of over the middle. Like, let's call it what it is, man. He was a hitman over the middle. This year, I thought he got much more proactive as a pass coverage guy. I think there's upside in that regard as well. But you get a really talented player at pick 32. I feel like it's a really good selection for that spot specifically.
Yeah, that's what they needed, a secondary player, and most of us thought it'd be a cornerback. But when you trade back 20 spots for a run of the mill type of trade, then all bets are off. And they needed to get better in the secondary. And I'll just point out that Vikings fans, I don't know if you're a fan base, like, we're sadists. So because the Packers didn't take a wide receiver, it's also a victory because they refuse to do that. They just don't do it. So yeah, I am not panicked. I don't do panic in general. I'm okay with the Cine pick. But yeah, we'll see what the full vision is tomorrow because boom, they have 3 picks on Friday.